Howdy, this is Jeffrey Snover. It is my favorite time of the year, Ignite, and it is my favorite session of the year, PowerShell Unplugged. This is where we get together, Jason and I, and we show you some of our favorite stuff. And it's very heavily demo centric, and we're going to make lots of mistakes, etc. But anyway, so I'm Jeffrey Snover, Microsoft Technical Fellow, and I'm joined by superstar
Jason Helmick. And Jeffrey, I also am really excited about this because I think it's about time we call each other out a little bit. What do you say?
Yeah. So it turns out in the prep for this, it turns out we had some different perspectives on where we are with the world. And so we're going to kind of flush that out today.
And here's how we're going to do it. Now, first of all, we both agree that PowerShell continues to make you more productive. We need to prove that. And one of the things is, are you sure that you're taking full advantage of all of the management capabilities that PowerShell 7 brings to you? And Jeffrey, here's the interesting part. This is where I'm going to call you out because it's time that we go through some rounds to prove this, my friends. Matter of fact, I'm going to gear up for this.
Oh, good Lord.
And here's what we're going to do. We're going to do cross-platform administration. Of course, we're going to talk about on-premises and on-cloud, but quite honestly, sir, it's time that we don't run away from the truth and we do the real battles like VS Code versus ISC and console versus terminal. This is the challenge I deliver to you.
Okay, I'm on. I'm ready for it.
And of course, as Jeffrey mentioned, our demos aren't pre-recorded, which means, we're doing this live with our own fingers and we will make mistakes. That's part of the fun and part of the excitement. Yeah, put your seatbelts on. And so, Jeffrey, if you're ready, I'm going to swing first at you.
Okay.
And here we go.
Give me your best, Jason. What are you talking about?
All right. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I'm really psyched that we get to talk about PowerShell, especially cross-platform, because I'll be honest with you, one of my favorite places to run PowerShell is on my Mac. Now, look, I'm not knocking Windows. Fine. It's just, I think that, besides the CLI experience, PowerShell has such a much more robust experience on a Mac. So let me show you an example. As a matter of fact, this is one of my favorite examples to kind of show. This still, by the way, blows me away. So here I am on my terminal, on my Mac, sitting at Z Shell, and I'm going to type, yay, PowerShell. First of all, this blows my mind that PowerShell runs on my Mac. This is so totally awesome. But here's the thing. I get the best shell experience because I get multiple tabs. Not only with these multiple tabs can I run PowerShell the preview, but I can run PowerShell the LTS release. So I can have my LTS release and I can do testing with the latest and greatest previews. Stupid easy right here on my Mac. What do you got?
Well, okay, so that would be great critique if this was still 2019, but it's not, my friend.
Oh.
It's not. You are out of date. So Windows now has the amazing Windows Terminal, okay? And so guess what I got up here? I got tabs. So I have multiple tabs. But wait, it's even better because these multiple tabs, that's looking a little small, right? So here, let's just control and zoom up. I can do Alt-Shift-D or Control-Shift-D. Oh, maybe it's Alt-Shift-D. Which one is it? There we go. I got multiple of these things. I can change the opacity of these things. This is amazing. This is fantastic. And I can have different versions, right? So I can have command.exe. In fact, I can even have GIFs in the background. There we go. And look at this. So there you go.
Ooh. Well, now awesome. See, this is actually really cool. You get Windows PowerShell, you get PowerShell 7, you get the preview, this is actually pretty cool. This is actually really cool. But
so indeed, a lot of times people that critiqued PowerShell throw rocks at PowerShell. Oh, it doesn't have multiple tabs. It's like we always used to say, well, that's a console thing. It's not PowerShell. Now we don't have to explain. We now have a fantastic terminal on Windows.
So I guess maybe after looking at this, you might have cut me on that one a little bit. That's
Ooh.
That's pretty nice that you got there. But here, while your screen's still up, though, how's your commandlet coverage? How many commandlets do you have?
Yeah, right. So in the past, PowerShell core had minimal commandlets. But if you recall, when we started off with PowerShell 1, we had, remember?
129, sir.
129 commandlets. And then when PowerShell version 3 was where we really kind of crossed the chasm and had full coverage. And that was about 1,200 commandlets. Well, this is PowerShell 7. And on this machine, I have 13,000. So I got 13,000.
Whoa. All right. I need to take control here. Let's see. You did what? GCM and you did measure. I want to do the same thing. And how many do I have? I've got almost 8,000. Not as many as you, but this is on my Mac. So I'm not quite as good as you, but you know what I do have?
Just to be clear, the reason why there's a difference is because I downloaded more things from the gallery than you did.
Well, that's true. That's true. The PS Gallery has all of the modules for all the commandlets that you need. Coverage across platform is definitely not one of the challenges that we're facing any longer. But I have a challenge for you because, see, one of the benefits that I get to using a Mac is that, see, when you invented PowerShell and you invented the pipeline, it just so happens that PowerShell knows how to work with these Linux commands. So if you're lucky enough to be running PowerShell on a Mac, I can do get process or get process. And I can pipe that. Oh, here you go. It works. That pipeline works with grep. So I can have it grep. Let's see, PWCH, and boom. But wait, there's even more. Not just grep. Grep is way too easy. Let's pick one of those really hard commands like awk. Maybe I only want the last column with the names in the CPU. And there I go. I get exactly what I want. It's super easy, and I love my awk command.
Okay.
Got for that?
Yeah. Yep. I will I'm going to admit, Linux had some great commandlets. Okay. But now we have WSL. So what now I can do? What'd you do? You said get process pipe to grep.
Yeah.
Grep.
PWSH. Yeah.
Okay. So that's not going to work, right? Because I don't have grep.
It's a Linux command.
But we now have WSL. And so you can put WSL in front of something and run any of the Linux commands. So here. And what was the other one? Awk? Was that the one you said?
Yeah.
And of course, awk's syntax is always my favorite. Oh, I forgot the WSL. WSL. So yeah. So now with WSL, you can just go ahead and put the commandlets you want. You have access to the full Linux command set.
So you can do that on Windows with WSL, which is totally mind-blowing. I can do it on Linux because, well, I've got Linux and the Linux commands are there. Wow, it's so nice that we can all use awk on both Windows and Linux. What a great command that Linux command is.
It is. Woo-woo.
Woo! Of course, sir, I think.
But here's the point. By the way, it's awesome. But the reality is this: once you're doing that, you're back to that thing we designed out, right? Which is this prayer-based parsing, right? And so get process, if you recall, you can do get process pipe to select your name and CPU. And boom, right? So it's much easier. Really, awk, $3, go up 12, -3. Oh, damn, that was a tab. Blah.
And that's the best part with PowerShell commands is that they make sense. You can type them really short if you want to by alias, but when you're writing automation code, when you don't know what the commands mean, the commands are written in English. It makes sense to you. The pipelines make sense, much more sense than awk ever really did.
Let me show you another reason why Windows is the best, right? We have out grid view, right? And so here, out grid view, oops, bring it over here, boom. Okay.
See,
so
out
I can
grid view.
out grid view. I can even now, I've got console grid view.
Whoa. Well, now I think the 80s want their grid view back, but hey, that's really, I don't know if okay. So on Windows, you get all these graphical capabilities thanks to Windows. Well, let's see here. I'm going to, let's see, get process and out grid view. Let's see if mine can run grid view. And of course, the amazing thing is that when PowerShell is ported across platform, we get those same capabilities too. I get out grid view and, let's see here. Get process. I got out grid view. What was that thing you just ran? What was console grid view. Let's try that. Hey, even mine works too, except now you're going to have to teach me what key to press to get out of this.
F9.
There we go. So I have all that too, but let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you need to check the IP address on your computer, what do you usually type?
Yeah, so I got muscle memory for this. So I just continue to use ipconfig-all. I think there's a better way to do it, but I forget. Yeah,
there's all kinds of ways to do it, and I do ipconfig as well. But here's something that I wanted to show you. This is a bit. I'm going to do this from Windows so that you can see this. And let me just show you. What we were just talking about coverage in PowerShell commandlets and things like how Linux commands, they're confusing to use. A lot of native commands are very confusing to use. Ipconfig's not one of them, but kind of my point. Here's the interesting thing. Today, I can do things like get ipconfig. In other words, a PowerShell commandlet for the native command. We've created a new way, coming out with both PowerShell 7.1 and ongoing into the future as we're working on it, this thing called native command proxies. And what this allows any IT pro to do is within a few minutes, you can easily wrap any command, whether it be a Windows native command or it be a Linux native command, and make that command more PowerShellized so that it's easier to read. It works across and let me just show you, it works across the pipeline. We've got this down to where instead of sending out just all of those strings, it now sends it out as an object so you can select from it and you can work with it. Of course, you see I've got -all. I can release the IP. I can renew the IP. Imagine this kind of capability for those new native commands like kubectl or Docker that are so complex and difficult to use. We can make them just like PowerShell and make them easy to use, like what we're doing with a lot of Linux commands. That's kind of cool, don't you think?
It's fantastic. I tell you, the thing is, that's the heart of PowerShell. Take this messy world, however you find it, APIs, REST APIs, COM APIs, WMI APIs, or existing kind of not so useful command exes, and turn it into high-level task-oriented abstraction. So that's just beautiful. I love it. But hey, again, back to Windows, my friend. Okay, so now, again, I got PowerShell Core, and check this out. Get AD user. So look here. I got the AD commandlets for my table start name.
Well,
so on Windows, yes, you can manage anything from anywhere. But the reality is there are certain things you can only do from Windows, like manage AD. So what do you have to say about that, bucko?
Well, you invented this and you created something miraculous. I predict you're really going to like this. So let me show you what I got. Because when you created PowerShell, you created PowerShell Remoting. And PowerShell Remoting, which came out with V2, is, like I'm telling you, gave us a lot of power that a lot of people don't even realize they have, because I, too, am going to attempt to run the AD commandlets. First of all, I'm going to create a PowerShell Remoting session. I'm going to create this PowerShell Remoting session to a domain controller. Yep, a Windows domain controller from my Mac using OpenSSH with the new remoting and OpenSSH, I can connect to it. And here's the best part. I'm going to use a feature called Implicit Remoting. It's been around since V2. You've been able to do this since V2. I'm going to borrow that module. You know, when I was showing you that we have this new thing, native command proxies that will build commands for you on the fly automatically, this is going to do the same thing. I'm going to sign in. And I'm going to, boy, I wish I could import that Active Directory module like you can. Boom. I do that remoting session. I now import the Active Directory module and get AD user. I got it too. Well, it's pretty cool.
This is one of my favorite things because this is completely isomorphic to the WMI commandlets, right? Version 3, we had so many new commandlets. The reality is most of those were high-level task-oriented abstractions that you typed in your shell. Then we did this remoting protocol to WMI, to a local process, where then it talked to another local process to do something, got those results, and sent them back. This is exactly isomorphic, but instead of using some LPC, it uses PowerShell remoting to a remote machine. It's fantastic. I love it.
Now, one of the other things I wanted to show you, I predicted that you were really going to like this. You may have noticed that when I started typing to make my session, it was already predicted on my screen for me as it is here. As a matter of fact, coming out with PowerShell 7.1, we have predictions. In other words, we can, from your history, predict what you want to type and give that to you. So if you've ever typed it before, this is a super fast acceleration. You can also go back through and make changes to the arguments and the parameters. So it's a really fast way, but wait, there's more. Of course there's more. Besides this, oh, let me get out of this. Let me clear the screen. These predictions happen for you automatically as you start typing, and they come from your history, but not necessarily always. I'm going to show you that. First of all, let me change this. I'm going to change this to something called list view. So these predictions can also work so that, whoops, I can't spell list view because I didn't let it predict it for me. There we go. In list view, when I start typing, then you get a nice drop down and you can arrow down through and pick the ones that you want. I do want you to notice this though, is I have this historical drop down that I can choose from. Notice I've got them labeled here as coming from.
That is sweet.
If I'm telling you that they're coming from your history right now, that means you can have other plugins, such as coming out in preview soon, Azure PowerShell has a predictive plugin that'll help you build your Azure resources and predict for you the parameters and the arguments that you need at the right time to successfully be able to create resources. So when it comes to predictions, historical predictions, third-party predictions, other predictors, we have a great way of helping you and accelerating you, but I got one more thing for you.
This is running on a Mac. This is going to run everywhere?
Of course. This is going to run on both. In fact, I want to prove to you, because the other feature to help everybody I want to show, and I'm going to show it from Windows. This is one of my favorite things. I don't know about you, Jeffrey, but, well, first of all, I can't type. I don't know about you, but every time I work with a command, I also, well, I need to have help. I need help all the time.
And
that means I got two consoles up, or I got a web page up, and it doesn't go. Here's how we want to be able to help people.
Often I'll do show help and show window, so I have a second window.
Oh yeah, show windows, beautiful. But here, I got something better for you. So we want to be able to help people when they're working, give them help at the right time. So if I start typing something like get child item, and I'm like, I forgot what get child item does, I can hit F1. When I go into F1, this is a virtual terminal. So it's using a different buffer to terminal this. And so I can go through the entire help file, look at whatever I want. And as soon as I quit out of this, it flips me back right to where I was typing. And if I did this on a parameter, whoops, if I could type the parameter and press F1, it's going to take me right to that full help. But yeah, right to that parameter.
And the first thing you mentioned is like Unix guys will be like, well, welcome to the 1980s, right? But the second line, it's like, no, my Linux friends, welcome to PowerShell.
But here's even better. Sometimes you need the full help. Sometimes you just need a little bit of help. And what I usually need when I'm working with parameters is Well, I need, there we go. I need to know what arguments the parameter's taken, whether it takes pipelined input, and I don't want to surf through the entire help file just looking for that. So we've made it really easy for you to get dynamic help on the fly, both with F1 getting the full help and getting the small help that helps you with the parameters and the arguments. So that is also coming with 7.1 on Windows and Mac. Everybody applaud. Yay.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. But let me tell you, it's really all about managing cloud resources. And it's not just Azure, right? So if you recall, when we did the launch of PowerShell, our launch partners were who? AWS, Google, VMware. Right. Okay. And so now here, look, if I do a find module on these guys, you'll see just a ton of information, AWS, Google, and PowerCLI tools. It's just amazing.
And since you're getting that from the gallery, that means I can get those from the gallery. We both have the same management capabilities across all the clouds.
Exactly. And of course, we have Azure. Okay. So we've got obviously, there's a list. I got lots of Azure.
Oh, wow. Okay. There's a lot of commandlets in there. Azure PowerShell is awesome.
It is. So what I can do now is I can say new AZ resource. I always get this wrong. Resource group.
Oh, so you're going to create a resource group in
wet US.
Wet. That would be here in Seattle. Oh, and you're going to make a VM. Well, this is really cool. From Windows, you can use the Azure PowerShell commandlets you snagged from the gallery, and you can make a VM in Azure if we can get you through the typing.
Anybody that knows me knows typing is a challenge. Let's see if that works. And there you go. So yeah, indeed, now you can manage Azure from the command line from anywhere.
Okay, but I have to stop you because I'm kind of poking fun at you over here as I'm bleeding a little bit from your typing, because of your exquisite typing skills. But because let me just show you, because I have the same challenges that you have when it comes to typing, and I just wanted to show that from here. I can also create the same stuff, but I just wanted to show that thanks to predictions, it makes it an awful lot easier. And I don't have to nearly type in as, I forgot to connect, but you still get the idea. I don't actually connect for you to be able to see it, but you get the idea. The predictions really make it so much easier and faster for me to get through all of this stuff than you do. But yes, we can both manage cloud resources with this. So we can do all the cloud stuff together, Windows and Mac. We can do all clouds. I'm trying to think, what other arguments do we have?
Well, let me tell you something. Visual Studio Code, my friend. We got Visual Studio Code. Check this out. Okay. So I could say code, ignite. Well, and look at this, man. I got Visual Studio Code. And this thing's just freaking amazing.
Now, this is awesome. And this is, of course, an automation of you making a VM. And this is, Visual Studio Code is incredible, especially for PowerShell. But Jeffrey, I don't know about you, and I don't mean to throw a low blow here, but don't you miss the ISE?
Oh, well, yeah, I do. And that's why ISE. Look here. Enable ISE mode. Check this out. Badonk.
Oh!
So Visual Studio Code has PowerShell ISE mode. And this thing's just beautiful. I just love this thing.
But wait, let me show you my VS Code. Now, I've also got a script in here to create a VM. I actually took this incredibly well-done script right out of the examples. I love the examples in the Azure PowerShell stuff. But let me see. You see here, you went to View, Command Palette, and then enable ISE mode. And lo and behold, I've got the ISE mode too. So if you were a big fan of the ISE, and a lot of people certainly were, Today, VS Code is so much better. But if you like that style and you like the color schemes, you can still have the ISE by enabling it. This is a beautiful world when we both can do the same thing on Mac and Linux.
Isn't it amazing? Fantastic. Okay, but now let me show you. Hey, so I've shown a bunch of amazing things, but here's one of my favorites. The fact that I can manage anything from anywhere, right? So you might have heard that theme, right? So here I've got a browser, right, in Azure. And notice up here, click here, and it brings me to Cloud Shell. And so Cloud Shell.
See, I love Cloud Shell.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You know, the thing I love about Cloud Shell is it goes and it creates all of the, finds all the latest and greatest tools and makes them available to you. Okay, so you can use Bash or PowerShell. Of course, you use PowerShell. But in addition to, all the great AZ modules and the AZ drive, right? You have things like get command, it's like get, there's Ansible, there's Terraform. What else? What else is interesting? I don't know. But basically, you got all that great stuff.
Wow. That's amazing. And to your point, this is where I think we all win, because I want to show you. See, it's that 3 o'clock in the morning problem, right? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Your pager goes off. Well, pager, whatever you got now, goes off, and you have to do something. So the important thing is with PowerShell is anywhere, anytime, any device. And with Cloud Shell, see, when I have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I can go to any device, my tablet, my phone, my laptop, whatever it is, type in shell.azure.com, no matter what device that is, and I can immediately jump right on in to Cloud Shell and begin. I can do things like I can reset the VMs, check the connectivity is going with it, make sure services up or running, do those things, whatever I need to do from any device that I need to do it to. Quite honestly, sir, this is probably one of the most successful ways of doing things.
So check this out. The other great thing I love about Cloud Shell is you can run it from anywhere. So here I've got a Chromebook, and with any Chromebook, you can log in as guest, and that's what I've done here. Bring up the browser. I'm able to then navigate to shell.azure.com, do device login, and now I can manage my entire environment.
Now, see, that's just amazing.
And there are all my virtual machines. So it's crazy. Basically, anywhere you are, if you have access to a browser, Cloud Shell can help you manage all of your Azure assets. Yeah, but it even gets better. Check this out. Remember Virtual Shell or Windows Terminal?
Yeah.
Here, Azure Cloud Shell in Windows Terminal.
Right in the terminal.
It's crazy.
Oh, okay. That's totally crazy. And yeah, the new Windows Terminal, it turns out to be much more amazing than the terminal that I have on my Mac. This is actually really cool.
All right, so we're running out of time, my friend. What other interesting things do we have?
Well, I think at this point, I'm kind of cut up and bloody over here. I understand that, with PowerShell, one of the coolest things is being able to communicate PowerShell code, ideas, automation, helpful hints to maybe help desk. So one of the cool things with PowerShell now is this thing called Jupyter Notebooks.
Indeed. Am I going to show the Jupyter Notebooks?
Yeah, go ahead and show a Jupyter Notebook.
So the thing about a Jupyter Notebook, it's really this combination of like documentation and then code that you can run, and then code that you can modify. And so this is going to be fantastic for training, for documentations, for run books. So, how do you run your site? You might have some documentation. Here I'm showing a Jupyter Notebook that's running in Azure Data Studio. And so this is one that Jason and I put together about the help subsystem. It's telling you about, look, here's some markdown, tells you about these things. And then check this out. Here you see get help process, and you can go and you can run this and run the Thanks. Now notice there's a bunch of things there. So I could have said, okay, well, what if I wanted to say sort of E-star process? So you modify the code and you can run it again. Okay.
Wow.
So you've got documentation, you've got code, and then you've got code that you can modify.
Wow. That's really amazing. You know what? It really is kind of mind-blowing that I can both look at the code, run the code, modify the code, and you're using Azure Data Studio, which is free for everybody, by the way, to use Jupyter Notebooks with. And I want to show you another option. Besides Azure Data Studio, there's also currently being worked on right now is VS Code. Now, right now, this is VS Code Insiders Edition with the PowerShell preview extension and the .NET Interactive extension. And it also is running that same notebook in here. So wherever you want to run your notebook, VS Code Insiders and Azure Data Studio, Jupyter Notebooks is a thing, and it's a great way of communicating. So many people now are using this, building their automation with this, calling this, and now they've got all the documentation right with it. It's an amazing world, Jeffrey.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Jeffrey, this is truly amazing. Anywhere, anytime, any device. But for everyone, for your Ignite experience, just a few wrap-up notes for us. What's next? Hey, PowerShell's general availability, we're going to release it in November, followed by, of course, the immediate releases of our previews of 7.2. We like to keep that preview train running. Also, more information about PowerShell Get and Secrets Management, check Joey and Jeffrey's Ignite session. PowerShell 7 is now available on the download catalog and out of the store. Yay, it's available on the store. And all of these interactive improvements that we've been showing you, not just the coverage with PowerShell, not just the cross-platform, not just the cloud and on-premises, but a lot of the new features to help you in the shell so that you can move faster, get more learning done quicker, and get help when you need it with that predictive IntelliSense. Now, what can you do? Make sure you're running PowerShell 7, the LTLS release, and also check out our previews and give us some feedback and give us some issues if you find some bugs, that kind of thing. And you can also check out more projects at github.com. Make sure you follow the PowerShell team on Twitter, and of course, follow Jeffrey. He's a technical fellow. He's amazing. You got to follow him. And I'm saying that because I'm bleeding. No, I'm not bleeding. It's all good. And in summary, 7.1 continues to make you more productive. Remember, 7.1's all about you. And we're 20 years into this PowerShell journey, and it's just begun. We got another good 10, 20 years, maybe even more after that. So thank you very much. And Jeffrey, thank you for taking this time for this challenge. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, sir.
It was a lot of fun. I'm really excited by the state of PowerShell. PowerShell 7, really, if you're on the older versions, you really need to take some time, invest in yourself, invest in your tools, pick up PowerShell 7 and give it a try. I think you're going to be amazed. It's wonderful.